Hi, today's practice brings together some beautiful techniques to help manage and alleviate anxiety. Around this time last year, I was struggling with really bad menopausal symptoms, and one of the worst symptoms was crippling anxiety and terrible panic attacks. So today I bring together some of the best techniques that I found to help me manage these symptoms. So we're going to start off with a practice known as Peace Begins With Me. It's a Kundalini yoga practice. And we say the mantra, Peace Begins With Me, doing mudras, which are hand gestures. And this works on several levels. Firstly, the mantra, when said out loud, helps to shift your brain from whatever it is that you're anxious about and obsessing about to a completely different part of the brain because you're speaking words out loud. And of course, the spoken word out loud creates a vibration, and this helps to raise our vibration because when we're anxious, we're very much in survival mode, drawing from our energetic field and on a very low vibe. And then the mudras work because we have 72,000 different nerve endings in our hands. And when we do a different pose with our hands, it creates a different energy. So let's begin. So we're going to say, Peace begins with me, with 4 different mudras. When we say peace, we bring the thumb and the forefinger together, the tips of these. This is known as wisdom pose, and it unites the body with the universe and creates wisdom. Begins is middle finger and thumb together, and this promotes patience. With is ring finger and thumb together, and this brings the body in alignment with the sun, and it raises our vibrancy and our vitality. And me is the little finger and thumb together, and this promotes communication. And you can use any of these mudras as you need them. If you've got a difficult thing you want to communicate, you can bring the little finger and thumb together. If you need a little bit of patience, bring the middle finger and thumb together. But to do this practice, we're going to repeat the mantra, Peace begins with me, with the corresponding mudras. And we keep doing this until we feel a little shift. That can be a sigh or a yawn or a smile. You can feel a lightness in the shoulders or a grounding sensation. And these little shifts are quite subtle, but over time they're quite profound. Let's begin. Rolling back the shoulders. Just take a nice smooth breath in and out. And let's begin. Peace begins with me. 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 2 more times. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And then just taking a nice smooth breath. And then we're going to start in a standing pose. Standing in Tadasana, mountain pose. Feet on the floor, hands at heart center. Just take a moment to really connect to the ground beneath your feet. Even if you're not outside, if you're inside, imagine the ground beneath the room that you're standing in and really connect to that earth's energy. And then try and imagine roots growing from your feet into the earth beneath you. The roots are growing down, down, down through all the layers of the earth, deeper and deeper and deeper, until they come to the centre of the earth. And then visualise or imagine these roots wrapping themselves 3 times round the earth's core. And then start to draw the grounding earth energy up from the core through your roots. Back up, up, up through all the layers of the earth, into the soles of your feet. And then drawing this energy up through your legs, up into your pelvis and into your torso, bringing that energy to your heart center, giving your heart a beautiful boost of grounding earth energy, and then continuing to draw that energy up through your chest, your neck, your skull, and out through the crown of your head. Just enjoying this grounding sensation. And then we're going to hug ourselves. So we're going to hug our arms around our shoulders, crossing the elbows, bring the chin to the chest, gently stretching through the back of the neck. So when we get a hug from somebody, or we give someone a hug, we get a boost of oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, into our blood. But we can do the same thing by hugging ourselves. And this is simply what this pose is doing, as well as stretching through the top of the shoulders and the back of the neck if you bring your chin to your chest. Just breathing nice and smoothly. And this is something that you can do while you're out and about. If you get anxious about something, you can gently just rub the top of your arms with your hands, and that will also produce a hit of oxytocin. We're going to swap the cross of the hands with the other elbow on top, bringing the hands back to the shoulders, chin to the chest. So what happens in the menopause is our cortisol levels rise because of the drop in oestrogen. And these cortisol levels are what causes the anxiety and the mood swings. So the oxytocin is really good because that helps to balance the stress hormone cortisol with the feel-good hormone. Breathing nice and smoothly, 2 more smooth breaths here. And release. And then we're going to take the feet slightly wider than hip distance. And breathing in, coming up onto the tiptoes, balancing on the tiptoes, taking the arms overhead just for a moment, and then lowering the heels to the floor, bring the hands through center, coming into yoga squat. Now don't worry if you can't get your heels to the floor, it's perfectly normal. Over time that will come. If you wish, you can also use a block or a box DVD set or a decent sized hardback book and just plonk it on its end, and you can sit on that if you want to make the pose slightly easier. Yoga squat is a really nice grounding pose. Really important when we're feeling anxious to ground ourselves. It's opening up through the inner thighs, through the outer hip and the lower back. Really connect back to your feet, drawing that grounded energy back up into your body and out through the crown of your head. Two more smooth breaths here. And then coming to rest on the mat. So we're going to go into child's pose now. So you can sit with your bottom on your heels. Keep the knees wide if you like your chest to go towards the floor, or you can bring your knees together if you prefer to rest your belly and your chest on your knees. It's entirely up to you. Extending the arms out onto the floor, forehead coming down to rest on the mat, and you can always slide a block in between your feet if you're struggling to get your bottom to your heels, or rest your head on a block if you're struggling to get your head to the floor. Turning inwards. Child's pose is a really lovely pose. Just taking some time to turn inwards. And a practice I like to do with child's pose is to repeat the mantra, I surrender to all that is, as it is now, and so it is. I surrender to all that is, as it is now, and so it is. Surrendering has wonderful energy. It's not a giving up or a giving in, it's much more of a giving over. Letting go of anything that no longer serves us. And again, with this practice, you keep saying it until you feel a shift, a yawn, a sigh, a smile. Really great practice for alleviating anxiety. I surrender to all that is, as it is now, and so it is. And with all of these practices, you can use them individually if you wish. And it's worth playing around with them to see which ones really resonate with you and really help with your anxiety levels. Walking the hands back, shifting the weight to the right side of the foot, taking the left foot over the knee and grounding down through the sitting bones. Taking the opposite hand out and hugging the knee, taking the arm overhead as you breathe in and taking that hand round to the opposite buttock as you breathe out in a seated twist. So twists are really helpful because they help to squeeze out the toxins from the internal organs. So when we're struggling with anxiety and we're in survival mode, some of those toxic emotions can get stored in our internal organs. By twisting them, we're starting to squeeze them out. So important to keep breathing smoothly. So with the exhalation, you're releasing those toxins, and with the inhalation, you're flooding the body and the organs with freshly oxygenated blood. Two more smooth breaths. And then gently unwinding, swapping the cross of the legs, grounding down between both sitting bones, hugging the knee, taking the arm overhead as you breathe in, taking the hand round to the opposite buttock, turning to look in line with your shoulder, remembering to breathe smoothly. Slowing the breath right down helps to calm the mind. And then gently unwinding, extending the legs out in front. If you have a strap, you can wrap the strap around the ball of your feet, or you just take the arms overhead as you breathe in, breathing out, coming down anywhere along the legs that feels comfortable for you. That can be the calves, the ankles, or the foot. Pashimotanasana, seated forward fold. So any forward fold, whether it's standing or seated, is deeply restorative, calming and cooling the mind. Really useful when we're struggling with anxiety and our mind is racing. You can close down the eyes if you wish, bringing the attention back to your breath. And this pose is aiding digestion, stretching through the hamstrings and increasing the energy to the nerves along the spine. Releasing the hands, taking the arms overhead as you breathe in, hands back down by your side as you breathe out. And we're going to take our mat to a wall. So you're 90 degrees to a wall or a door or even a radiator. I'm going to use this tree. So we're going to do another deeply restorative pose. This is legs up the wall. So it's not particularly dignified to get into it, but trust me, it's worth it when you get there. It's absolutely heavenly. Brilliant pose to do just before you go to bed. Often when we're struggling with anxiety, our sleep is one of the first things to do. This is a great pose to do before you go to sleep. So shifting your bum as close to the wall as you can, or a tree if you're outside like I am. And then bringing the legs to rest up the tree or the wall. Hands either side of the hips. Close down your eyes. So when we're struggling with anxiety, as I've already said, we are in survival mode. Our fight or flight response is activated. The sympathetic nervous system is activated. Now our autonomic nervous system works best when it's balanced and in alignment. And when we are getting ready to run away or fight or hide, which is what happens when the fight or flight is activated, then our rest and digest system goes offline. The parasympathetic nervous system because it's just not the time if we're going to run away or hide or fight to be digesting food or being creative or learning anything or procreating or even healing. Now, of course, if we're really struggling with anxiety and not getting much of a break, we're not balancing our autonomic nervous system, so it can't work at its optimum level. So really this is what this whole sequence is about, is activating the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, bringing it back into alignment so your autonomic nervous system can start to work effectively. Because if we're in prolonged periods of anxiety and stress, then this unfortunately can be a recipe for disease, dis-ease basically. So really important to balance the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system, keeping the autonomic nervous system in alignment. Breathing nice and smoothly. So we're going to stay here for 2 more breaths. This is a pose that you can do pretty much for as long as you like. The only thing to be mindful of is if you have low blood pressure, you might get tingling in your toes, and that's a sign that it's time to come out of it. So to transition out of it, we just bend the knees and gently roll over onto our right hand side. You can keep your mat where it is. I'm just going to move mine back to where I was. Coming to rest on your back and hugging your knees into your chest. So again, hugging ourselves, we're releasing oxytocin, the feel-good hormone, into our body, balancing the hormones of stress, cortisol, which are released when we're anxious or are being released during the menopause due to the lowering of the oestrogen levels, and that's what kickstarts all the anxiety, the mood swings, the brain fog. So hugging the knees into your chest, gently rocking from side to side, massaging the spine. Another deeply restorative pose. And then releasing the arms, extending them out at shoulder height, palms facing down. Or if you don't have the space, you can bend the arms in cactus arms. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, lower the knees down to one side, turning your head in the opposite direction in a simple twist. Restoring equilibrium in the spine. It's melting into the floor. This is the last pose before we go into Shavasana and a final resting meditation. Two more smooth breaths here. And then bringing the knees through centre as you breathe in, and taking the knees down to the other side as you breathe out. Turning your head in the opposite direction. And keep both shoulders on the floor. You can close down the eyes if you wish, turning inwards, resting your awareness on your breath. Two more smooth breaths here. Bringing the legs back through centre and extending the legs onto the floor, taking the feet slightly wider than hip distance and bringing the palms to rest either side of the hips, facing upwards. Close down your eyes and allow your breathing to return to normal. Relaxing your feet and your ankles. Relax your shins and your calves. Relax your kneecaps and the backs of your knees. Relax your thighs and your hamstrings. Relax your hips, pelvis and buttocks. Relax your belly and your lower back. Relax your ribs and your torso. Relax your chest and your upper back. Relax your shoulders, arms and hands. Relax your throat and neck. Relax your mouth, tongue and jaw. Relax the space between your eyes and around your eyes. Relax your forehead and the crown of your head. And we're just going to finish the practice with a safe place meditation. So about a year ago I did an anxiety workshop and I discovered this meditation on the workshop, and it is absolutely brilliant, I think, for helping manage anxiety. So I'd like you to bring to mind your happy place. Try and imagine it or visualize it. Depending how you perceive your world, you may get a very clear image. You may be more wordy and describe it, or you may just get a sense of it. It doesn't have to be a picture-perfect HD quality image. Just bring to mind your happy place. Bring it into your mind's eye. Imagine yourself in your happy place. And say to yourself, I am happy, I am safe, I am well. I am happy, I am safe, I am well. I am happy, I am safe, I am well. And then we're going to use our 5 senses to ground ourselves into our safe place. So taking a look around, identify 5 things that you can see. Noticing 5 things in your safe place that you can see. And then bringing your awareness to your sense of touch and identifying 4 things that you can touch or feel. If you're outside, you may feel the sun on your face or the wind in your hair. You may decide to take your shoes off and feel the ground beneath your feet. Just identifying 4 things that you can touch or feel. And then bringing your awareness to your hearing, and notice 3 things that you can hear. And then for some people, the sense of smell is terribly evocative. So picking out 2 things that you could smell in your safe place. Maybe it's a smell of salt in the air if you're by the sea, or freshly cut grass. 2 things that you can smell. And then finally, 1 thing that you can taste. And then taking another look around your safe place, reminding yourself, I am happy, I am safe, I am well. I am happy, I am safe, I am well. I am happy, I am safe, I am well. And knowing that at any point you can always return to your safe place just by closing your eyes and bringing it into your mind. And using your 5 senses, it doesn't matter in which order, in any order you like, but to ground yourself into the moment. And that's also a really useful tool if you find yourself out and about, getting anxious. Just stop, look around and use your 5 senses, identifying 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste, but in any order that you like. Really helpful grounding tool. And then gently bring some movement back to your body by wriggling your fingers and your toes. Got a little floony, come and join me on the mat here. If you'd like to stretch, take your arms along the floor, stretching your hands in the opposite direction to your feet. And when you're ready, gently roll over onto your right hand side, taking a couple of breaths of transition. Using your hands to guide you, keeping your eyes closed and your head hung low. Gently and slowly transition to a comfortable seated position. Your nervous system is nice and calm now, so it's important to move slowly and not quickly and jarring it back out. Bringing the hands to heart center. Guys, may you take the benefits of your yoga practice with you into your lives today, and may it touch not only yourself but all those who share your life. Namaste. Thanks very much, guys. I'd love to know what you think of that. I find them really helpful tools for anxiety. I'd love to know your thoughts, so please drop me a comment. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.